Hello, Sudhanshu. Hello, Rajendra. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Yes. Yes, I think session is ready. They're ready or it's taking some time. I think we are ready, Sudhanshu.
Sarma ji?
Yes.
Yeah, so just wait for 5 minutes.
अच्छा ठीक है क्योंकि the NFP from Sudan has to go outside, so she'll be joining in time. So I have given her time, fixed time, 15 minutes from now. और राजेंद्र, मेरी पीपीटी वही है जो सुधांशु ने मुझे भेजी है, वो ठीक है, तो वो शेयर कर लेना। वैसे मैं करूँगा शेयर इधर से जब मेरी टर्न आएगी।
Yes, Mr. Sharma, Mr. Mishra, Sudhanshu, can you hear me?
Hello. Sudhanshu, can you hear me?
Dr. Sharma, I can hear you. Ajay Mathur speaking.
Okay, sir. Good afternoon, sir. So, if you permit, sir, can we start?
Yes, please.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Welcome you all. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening from wherever you are. So I welcome you all on this session. With us is Dr. Ajay Mathur, Director General, International Solar Alliance, Shoko Noda, UNDP India resident representative, officers from UNDP country office Sudan, NFP Sudan, and the panelists are from Mr. Ashish Chaturvedi, who will be moderating the session from UNDP, Mr. Sarmati Nayak from Fraunhofer, Ramesh Patidar, Director Shakti Pump, and Momita from UL Labs. And for the closing remarks, Dr. Suleiman Barthe, National Focal Point Mali, is there. So I welcome you all and request Shweta to take over and start the proceedings. Thank you.
A very good afternoon to everybody who is a very good afternoon to everybody who's present here. We will start. So as you know, this is we are presenting a project that UNDP and ISR are doing together, which is on scaling solar applications for agricultural use, where we focus on solar water pumps in 10 countries. We'll get into the details of this in just a minute, but maybe we can start with our colleagues from Sudan. Maybe we can start with our colleagues from Sudan. We have representatives from both our country office and ISA National Focal Point, and they have an interesting presentation for us. I'm sorry, a slight that was a mistake on my part. Can we start with the Director General of ISA, Dr. Ajay Mathur, with some opening remarks? Still on? Just please give us 2 minutes. I think we're having some technical issues. So we will start with opening remarks from Dr. Ajay Mathur, Director General, International Solar Alliance.
Good afternoon. First of all, a very warm welcome to all of you. I'm sorry I'm not with you in person. I was in Bangalore till yesterday, but I understand that the New Zealand foreign minister is in Delhi and New Zealand is now signing the agreement to join the International Solar Alliance, and consequently I'm here in Delhi. But please, a very warm welcome to all of you, and I'm delighted to be part of this session, which is to discuss the opportunities for scaling up the ecosystem for solar pumping around the world, and in particular in 10 countries. We have seen that since they were first introduced in the 1970s, solar pumps have seen a huge renaissance. There were a lot of technical upgradations in the years since 70. The prices have dramatically declined, and we've gone through several generations of pump technologies. Now that the pumps are affordable, we are at the point where already solar pumps are more cost effective in terms of the water supply than almost any other source. If we are talking of diesel pumps, they're much cheaper than diesel pumps. If you're electric pumps, they're cheaper than electricity if it is charged at full price. We today, because of the climate emergency, need to move towards solar pumps as soon as possible. About 4 years ago, the Solar Alliance received interests from 22 ISA member countries for more than 272,000 solar pumps. At that point, we did a global tender and found for price discovery. There were no pumps that were ordered as a result of it, but the price that we discovered was 42% less than the price that was there in the market till then. We have since found that a large number of countries have gone ahead and started purchasing pumps from these, and I'm delighted that Shakti Pumps is here with us. They are one of the beneficiaries of this price discovery mechanism, and their price, I'm told that they're now selling pumps which are very, very competitive with the prices that were found. Now, what happened immediately after that was that UNDP and the International Solar Alliance approached the IPSA fund, the India, Brazil, South Africa fund. And from that, resources were made available to establish pilot programs in 10 ISA member countries, with the program implementation to be done by UNDP. The program is being launched now to start the preparation of feasibility studies, stakeholder consultations, and identification of business models in each of the countries. I should also point out that we are working with other organizations, particularly the Global Green Growth Institute of Korea, to develop a trust fund through which we could look at scaling up the kinds of business models and technology updates that we find with this ISA UNDP project. And as we move ahead, we hope that we will deliberate on these challenges, enable ecosystems, and look at the roles of various stakeholders in figuring out the innovative approaches through which we can accelerate the deployment of solar water pumps in all the world, and especially in our member countries. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, sir, for your kind remarks. Shweta?
Yes. So now I would like to invite two of our critical implementation partners, Mr. Nurullah Ahmed, who represents UNDP country office, and Ms. Zainab Mohammed, who is the ISA focal point. They will present to us their experience with solar water pumps in the country. Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody in this meeting. And here with me, Zainab, the Sudan focal point. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Actually, the Sudan have a long renewable energy. UNDP Sudan has a long renewable energy project, which including different harnessing different type of renewable energy, wind energy, biomass energy, and for sure solar energy for agriculture and for basic services, and together with a number of initiatives that supporting the transformation of the energy system to a clean development, low emission development strategy. Our presentation is composed of oh, we got see it here. I don't know. الأخضر إحنا بيصير ما هو صح؟ لا هنا. Okay. Our presentation actually is composed of 4 parts. First, we will start with country context. Then we will touch on the potential of solar energy to meet the national climate change and development goals in Sudan. And then we will show some of the examples of solar pumping projects in Sudan. And also we will touch on country-level policies that support the scale-up of solar energy, renewable energy as general, and solar energy in particular in Sudan. To the context, actually, Sudan administratively is composed of 18 states, and these states actually have different levels of development according to their historical context. But let me also see some of the country indicator, global country indicators for Sudan. Then we will see that at least 65% of people in Sudan live in rural areas. Due to the climate and also to the civil unrest, we have 2.5 million internal displaced people. Percent of people live below poverty line. We have 60% dependent on livelihood, and also 65% in the rural area. Other results, we have 80% dependent on traditional fuel for cooking and other biomasses. Agriculture actually played a very important role in Sudan economy. Its share of GDP is 7%. And also the labor share in agriculture provide employment for 54%. And also agriculture provides livelihoods in general, agriculture and animal husbandry to more than 66% of the population. If we match this with the climatic and agriculture practices in Sudan, then we will find that there is 5 climatic regions in Sudan. We have a desert, which is constitute more than 30% of the total land of Sudan, with precipitation between 0 to 75 millimeters per annum. And we have also semi-desert 20%, we have low rainfall 25%, and we have high rainfall and floodplain 6% of the total area of the country. In this climatic zone, agriculture actually is practiced, and I think we have like 4 agricultural practices in Sudan. We have traditional rain-fed agriculture, which is about 9 million hectares. We have gravity irrigation, is 4 million hectares, and we have bumper irrigations, 1.6 million hectares, and mechanized rain-fed irrigation 1.23 million hectares. These traditional agricultural practices almost found in the lower to high rainfall and pump irrigation in the desert and semi-desert and mechanized rain-fed irrigation in high rainfall and mountainous plain. So this is the matching between the agricultural practice and climatic zone. We also have livestock estimated as 110 heads composed of camels, cows, sheep, goat, and a number of different type of animals. So this is the general climatic regional agriculture in Sudan. If we look into the trend of climate change data in Sudan, we will find that, for example, there is annual precipitation decrease between 10 millimeter to 30 millimeter per decade from 1960 to 2009, and we also found that there is mean temperature increase 0.2 to 0.4 also for the same period. And we have desert belt move southwest. Actually, now most of the semi-desert being a full desert area, and then still moving off sand dunes and creeping to the south is the semi from semi-desert actually to low rain and high rain areas. We also we noticed that there is water decrease by 20%. We know due to water decrease, we noticed that there is 20% of cultivated area not harvested because most of the crop, because of low rainfall and the irregular patterns of rainy season, most of the crop doesn't reach maturity and people do not get harvest out of it. We also noticed that cropping intensity reduced to less than 30% and increase in fallow land area. Most of the land are now abundant in the semi-desert and desert area for many reasons. Climate is one of them, but we also consider, which I will touch on, the energy part and pumping water and the high costs. We have 70% of Sudan population, as we mentioned earlier, affected by climate change threat. Most of them is rural area who pursue type of livelihood on agricultural sectors and animal husbandry. If we want to match the energies available, this is why we say that solar energy can provide a viable solution to Sudan. On your right, you can see the light night map. So where the electrical energy are concentrated in Sudan, along the dam on the Nile, as you can see, with some of the isolated power plant in different cities, and on the north, which is desert and semi-desert, are almost abundant and very low population intensity. If you match this with the map on the left, which is the solar installations in Sudan and the solar resources measured in kilowatt hour per square meter, you can see that it is ranging between 2,500 kilowatt hour per annum and going down up to 1,900 is the lowest solar energy resource available. So energy resources are abundant, provide a viable solution. There is also a need. There is a number of areas which can be considered as an energy developing areas. Back to our main theme, which is agriculture and UNDP intervention. UNDP actually has 3 solar for agriculture projects promoting the use of solar lamp, targeting 1,400 farmers. This is the most state. There is solar water pump for sustainable agriculture in River Nile state. This is also targeting supporting 450 farmers, and we have solar for basic services targeting 70 finished domestic water supply. I have to say the first project is a JEF finance project. The second project is a bilateral with KOICA, the Korean International Cooperation Agency, and the solar for basic services is funded by the Qatari charity organizations. How we, this is also important, how we procure and delivery these solar pumping to the farmer and to the needy people. First, actually, our BIDU, project management unit, need to make the need assessment, to set up technical specification, development of solar pumping, sizing, and so on, preparations of tendering bill of quantities. Then once this happened, we hand it over to the procurement unit for ITB and tendering processes. And in this, we have two line of models that we procure solar pumping through. First, we have the local supplier. We make tendering locally. And we have international supplier, and international supplier mainly we use with UNDP. We work with UNDP headquarters procurement service unit. This is in our UNDP case. And for each of them, I think there is some of the challenges and opportunities. For example, for local supplier, we notice that the local supplier doesn't have enough financial capacity to enter into big projects. For example, for the 1,500 solar pumping, we didn't find the local supplier with the capacity to deliver, procure, install this number of one. We also noticed that inflation and price change also affected the local supplier because most of them, they ended their contract prematurely because they cannot go with changing prices, which is goes in their disadvantage. There is also difficulties in Sudan case for the local supplier to transfer funds outside the country. So this is why for big project we go for international suppliers or PCO as I mentioned, but some of the challenges that there is problem with local partner because international supplier doesn't come to the country, but they enter into a joint venture with the local partner, and there is a number of problems related to management and also related to communications because the contract with the joint venture is with the mother company that holding the contract. The mother company is managed by BSU. So it is a little bit complicated in communications and in managing the delivery of system in place, as I mentioned, and also there is lack of knowledge by the international supplier of the local context, which sometimes run into some difficulties trying to change the pricing according to context. There is some delays in transportation. There is some delays related to climatic conditions, the rainy season, the desert, and so this is some of the challenges to the two approaches, local supplier and international supplier, that we will be used to deliver solar pumping system to the farmers. I will leave my colleague Dana to touch on the legal framework in Sudan for solar water pumping.
Yes, okay, thank you, and good afternoon all. There. I'm representing what is done legal-wise for enhancing and development of the solar water pumping in Sudan. So it is basically the diesel pumps of more than 4-inch size were exempted from customs. Again, in 2017, the solar pumps were exempted from customs and other duties. Also in 2020, solar pumps testing lab was built for the quality control of solar pumping, and this is operating under the control of Sudanese Standard and Metrology Organization. Recently, the net metering regulation is approved, and now the farmers can also change with the grid and taking from the grid. This is also a successful policy. There is an ongoing, what I will say now is ongoing development of a standardized baseline for solar PV pumping in Sudan, and also monitoring, reporting and verification mechanism also ongoing. It is under implementation, and the inclusion of solar pumps in physical concession list of the investment law is also ongoing. Integration of PV pumping national energy roadmap. It is already done. Finally, national PV fund established and capitalized to promote concessional lending to farmers. So we made the mahfaza, what we call mahfaza board, established also. That's all. Let me say. Now the floor is Mr. Nurullah to present the successful story.
So, thank you, Zainab, and I think let me from all these experiences of solar pumping, which we entered in 2016, after now we are implementing a number of projects, and there is some lesson learned and positive impact documented, derived by fuel saving. For example, in this, we found that around 960 liters of subsidized diesel per acre per season is now avoided because now move completely to solar water to solar technology and minimal solar system maintenance. The response from surveyed farmer has been overwhelmingly positive. Some of their statements include there is now continuous water supply for irrigation, and there is highly reliable and reduced maintenance downtime, and increase cropping yield per annum by more than 47%, growing different crops over different seasons, and also farmer produce year round, and as well introduce new high value crops like cotton, lemon, and mangoes. Before they cannot introduce it because water is not reliable and investment in these crops is very high. So a loss is quite possible with the diesel pump when diesel is not available and or its price is escalated. And also farmers were able to cultivate summer crops, which is increased by from a number of 2 to 3 acres, now increased by 87%, largely with watermelon crops, which is done at no additional cost. So let me now from the field show you some of the photos. For example, this farmer, in North State, he says that I am in the middle of the desert. His farm is really in the middle of the desert, but I am still able to farm. I was able to grow 26 acres of peanut, fennel, and experiment with garlic, thanks to the availability of abundant water, because now she's using solar pump. Every day he has program. Going solar increased land under cultivation for him by 46%, and total crop harvested 47% increase. I mean, increase in harvested percent. This also farmer say that no diesel fuel, no worries. Now I can ensure that my crops will not die of water stresses, and I can ensure that I have a reliable sources of irrigation water. Here also, one of the farmer mentions that with diesel, they have higher operation cost, they have low reliability of fuel supply, and as you know, Sudan is oil importing country, and there is also high hazard and high emission. And there is a number of accidents actually using solar pump, because you dig a hole like this, and then in it you will place solar pump, and you need to go down every time you want to operate or you want to stop the engine, which is a very risky process. And this ditch and hole, it is like 5 meter deep. So this now it is 5 meter deep below the ground. Here also, farmers were able to extend their production into the desert area. So there is now new agricultural land being put under cultivations. Also, increasing production and year-round cropping allow more jobs for women in the farming side. And farmer here were able also to introduce summer season crops. And this is actually their watermelon production in the summer, which never grown in Sudan with the diesel pump of its high cost of the diesel pump. And I think by this end, by this slide, we end up our presentation and we'll leave you with this smiling farmer. Thank you. Over.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sudan.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nurul and Ms. Zainab, especially for those inspiring examples on how policy has integrated solar water pumps and the demand and facilitated its adoption. We hope to build on this and pass on this knowledge to the rest of the project countries. Now over to Mr. P.C. Sharma for a quick brief on ISA and its priority program.
So, Norula, can you unshare the screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sharma? Okay, I will stop. Yeah.
Yes.
Let me stop it.
Okay. Thank you. So I'll share my screen just now.
Okay.
So can you see my screen?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So just a brief about ISA from my side. So as you know, ISA is an international organization, treaty-based organization. As of now, we have 112 countries that have signed the framework agreement, and 92 countries have ratified. And after that, as DG told, that New Zealand is also going to join ISA alliance. So for this year, India is the president and France is co-president. And there are 8 new vice presidents this year. For Asia Pacific, Tuvalu and Bangladesh. Africa, it's Somalia and Mali. And for Latin America and Caribbean, it's Venezuela and Dominica. And for Europe, it's Denmark and Sweden. The vice president will be supported by 5 committees, 1 standing committee and 4 regional committees. And of course, Secretariat is there to support providing programmatic support for the member countries and strategic decision making and facilitate engagement with diverse stakeholders like the one we are doing today. So out of 193 prospective member countries, 92 are ratified and 20 have signed the framework agreement. The journey so far has been in the 2018, membership was 47 and 6 program, and now we are having 112 countries joining the alliance. And so far during the journey, 83 million resources have been mobilized from member countries and global foundation. 9 gigawatt of aggregated demand has been aggregated from 41 countries, and 2,860 stakeholders have been trained, like bankers and technicians and engineers from under different program. And ISA is supporting demonstration projects in 27 LDCs and small island states. And ISA has also released ISA flagship reports on solar technology, solar market, and solar investment report, and ease of doing business solar in ISA member countries. ISA is running 9 programs. Program 1 on agriculture that covers solar water pumping, affordable finance at scale. That's cross-cutting program, scaling solar mini grid, rooftop, e-mobility, solar park, heating and cooling, battery waste management, and of course, green hydrogen. These are the new 2 programs. Under capacity building, training of master trainers, bankers training, rooftop, mini grid, solar park, and water pumping has been done online and offline, and it covers the whole, all over the globe. All regions are covered under these programs. I'll just talk about program 1 under which this program, this programmatic support has been provided to 10 countries: solar water pumping, cold storage, and off-grid applications. And the key initiative has been the one we are launching today. IPSA fund $2 million US of grant from India, Brazil, South Africa fund with the help of UN Office of South-South Cooperation. And the next step that we in the process of forming a joint venture of ISA and Triple GI, creation of trust fund for promotion of 1 million solar water pumping system. And for Ethiopia and Uganda joint working group have been formed to develop roadmaps for solar water pumping projects. The main key achievements in this program has been that 28 countries have joined the program. 25 pre-feasibility studies were prepared for the member countries, the IPSA fund and training, and of course, release of e-handbooks and solar water pumping system and home system last year. So these are the 29 countries from all the regions that have joined program 1. And under programmatic support, you can say, although 27 countries, solar regional health center, cold storage, water pumping, and other areas have been covered, 9 countries are being provided programmatic support under the solar water pumping. It includes Gambia, Jamaica, Togo, and Tonga. They are self-implementing. Burundi, Cuba, Ethiopia, Mozambique, and Suriname. ISA implementation, NTPC, which is the PMC for ISA, they are implementing all the amended grant agreement has been received and orders have been placed. So this is the coverage by ISA. You can see the whole all regions have been covered for demo projects, mini grid, solar park, water pumping, and solar rooftop programs. Thank you very much. So over to Shweta. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. PC Sharma. So as you can see, ISA has 9 priority programs, and there was no second thought when we decided why we should focus on the one that focuses on agriculture, especially in sub-Saharan Africa and in Asia. Agriculture accounts for more than 10% of the GDP, unlike the global average, which is about 4%. Another common facet is the number of small and marginal farmers who constitute almost 80% of all producers in these countries. And this is why we chose this program, because solar has the potential to yield to enable a sort of democratic participation in the climate mitigation strategy, and to help improve the adaptive capacity of the farmer. I'm going to quickly skip over this because both Dr. Ajay Mathur and Mr. PC Sharma gave you a little bit of a background on how this project came into being. It is funded by the India, Brazil, South Africa Facility for Poverty and Hunger Alleviation. Can we please move on to the next? So as I'm just going to quickly repeat what they said, it started with an EOI that ISA floated to its member countries, and about 22 of them came back with a total demand for 272,000 pumps. Now, the grant that we have is limited, and we're going to focus on about 200 in 10 countries. And these countries were chosen because they have the largest demand for solar water pumps. So can you move to the next slide? One more. So as you can see, these are the countries that were chosen for the project. They account for 265,800 out of the 272,000 pumps that were assuaged in the EOI. And this is why we have selected these. Now, the idea of this project is to develop or to establish a sort of a multi-country modality. And obviously, it's based on the principles of South-South cooperation. We have 3 main sort of outcomes, if you will. One is to prepare inclusive institutions to ensure that this is accessible at the last mile. The second is to counter any increased socioeconomic vulnerabilities that the agricultural communities face As you know, they are in the forefront of both developmental and climate change challenges. And lastly, to ensure sustainability and long-term resilience of these activities. Our agricultural activities has to continue to grow if we are to A, feed the growing population and to address SDG 2 or no hunger. Next slide. The map here is purely to let you know how diverse and how geographically dispersed these countries are. Another reason for us to have chosen these countries. They also vary in their agroclimatic sort of status. They vary in their agricultural practices. They vary in how much, as I mentioned earlier, how much the agriculture contributes to the economy and a few other factors. The idea is to experiment with a lot of different modalities for deployment of solar water pumps. So we have a sort of a compendium of solutions that is applicable to. We can move on. There are 4 main project components. We start with a feasibility study. And this is not just a technical and site feasibility study. We're going to back it with something called the de-risking renewable energy investment study that looks at various factors that can help determine, like we were just discussing with my colleague here, about how much subsidy is needed for solar water pumps or how much CFA should be set aside for it. So we will back a feasibility study with this DREI study that will inform policy and regulations in each of these 10 countries. Again, it's all knowledge management to feed to all of the 22 member countries in ISA and beyond. The second phase would be demonstration, where we will look at deploying about 200 solar water pumps across these 10 countries. And we have identified or shortlisted about 15 different business models. They range from Ethiopia's, sort of farmer or grower model, where you have contracts to ensure the capital cost is covered through EMIs. You have the community-owned model. You have the micro-irrigation model. Will be used based on the findings of the feasibility study. We will make sure to demonstrate all of these different business models across the 10 countries. We also have a significant component on capacity building that will be supported by ISA, as Mr. PC Sharma mentioned earlier. They have been ramping up their efforts to do technical and financial trainings. We will be sort of supporting that with some farmer field schools to ensure that technical knowledge is supported with some knowledge on how to do sustainable agriculture. And lastly, knowledge management with the aim to pass on the information to countries across the globe. This is a quick chart on how the project will be phased. And the reason that we're using a phased approach is that knowledge exchange does not mean just within these 10 project countries, right? It also means across. We want to make sure that the learnings are passed on to these countries and to any other project that are being undertaken under ISA right. It's a multi-country project. We have a huge variety of stakeholders involved. The project is implemented in Delhi or coordinated in Delhi by UNDP India and the ISA Secretary. In the countries, they are implemented by the UNDP country offices, supported by the ISA National Focal Point. We also have our HQ colleagues at the Sustainable Energy Hub supporting us with knowledge management. For feasibility studies, we will be turning to international experts and we would be employing national consultants in each of these countries. For procurement of the systems, we will be following demand aggregation model, where we hope to achieve lower prices because of the whole economies of scale. Lastly, training would be done through ISA, and any project must have a third-party evaluator to tell us how to take this forward, how to take the learning forward. The opportunities are tremendous. Like I said earlier, it is not just a strategy for decentralized climate mitigation, but it's also a strategy for adaptation. So as you can see, it's clean energy, sustainable irrigation, and increased income generation. We hope to translate international experience to localized, tailored solutions for the ground. We hope to strengthen local ecosystems through policy information, through capacity building, through regulatory interventions, the whole gamut. We hope to establish linkages of the international vendors with local market players to ensure O&M of the systems is guaranteed. We hope to develop skilled manpower within these communities, to pick up people from these communities to sort of build, I'm blanking on the term, but to build confidence within the community that will be taken care of. We hope to provide sessions on policy and regulation and on their national plans on climate change and clean energy. Globally, we hope to demonstrate a modality for multi-country projects that builds on the principles of South-South cooperation, looking at collaboration. This will not be limited to the 10-country project, but it will go beyond to 22 countries and to the 9 other ISA programs. Finally, climate mitigation and sustainable development in the global south. The next slide, I quickly summarize all the SDGs we address. And this is what's great about solar in the agricultural communities. It's not just for irrigation, but it's for livelihoods, it's for income generation, it's for development in these agricultural communities. Thank you. And if anybody has any questions, because I ran through it, I'm happy to answer them. No? Okay.
Thank you, Shweta.
Yeah, so my name is Joseph. I'm from UNSSCOP. First of all, I'd like to congratulate both the International Solar Alliance and UNDP for carrying forward this project. The benefits from this project are quite obvious from the presentation colleagues from Sudan made. So these are the kind of projects that needs to be scaled up, obviously. But one striking thing which I noticed from the presentation is that despite the focused intervention and funding, subsidy and support by international agencies, you need a lot of regulatory alignment in place for this to work out, right? Because the colleague mentioned that there are issues with, regulations such as exemptions of duty for importing photovoltaic cells, then market imperfections in procurement and so on. So I believe that since you are running this project in many countries, I'm sure that the regulatory endowment, the regulatory systems in place in different countries would be very different from each other. For some countries already they have duty exemptions and they have like procurement guidelines and so on. So it would be good to kind of collect the experience and have a set of guidelines for what are the regulatory preparedness that countries that are yet to implement should take, right? And because it's very similar, like many countries in South Asia also would have the same kind of features with agriculture that countries in Africa have. Like we have also large presence of small farm holdings and so on. In our own energy work, we have a component about looking at the regulatory preparedness that is needed for expanding renewable energy market. So from that context also, this is very useful. It would be very useful input. And you mentioned that, you're already preparing a compendium. So I was wondering whether this regulatory systems that are required is also part of the information that you collect. Thank you.
Yes, to your last question, everything that we will do, we'll try and standardize it so it can be replicated. Yes, all of knowledge management is a big requirement, not just for UNDP, but also for ISA. It's trying to build capacities in each of its member countries. So policies, regulatory frameworks, business models, even lessons learned and case studies, all of those will be collated throughout the process. If there are no more questions, I'd like to invite Dr. Ashish Chaturvedi.
All right, please come. Join me here. So you've already heard, and of course, there are a lot more people online than in the room here, but please, ma'am, join us. I think the agenda is pretty straightforward. You've already seen what we envisage to do as a part of this project, but I think the opportunity is much larger than what the project is all about. And what I'd like to do over the next sort of half an hour, 45 minutes, is to sort of get to learn from you, our panelists, who've been experts, who are experts in their own right in this space, to tell us a little bit about what their experiences have been in this sort of scaling solar applications in the agriculture sector. Of course, let's start with a sort of a quick input on what you just sort of heard. What is your feedback on what you just, and then maybe we can come into sort of more questions. So because it's a small group, I don't really want to impose structure. And of course, for all of those people who are online, please type in your questions or your suggestions into the chat box so we can take them as we go along. So Shweta, it would be good if somebody's kind of moderating the online as well. So let me start with Mr. Naik, who's from Fraunhofer. Since you've been working in this area for almost 2 decades now, and great amount of experiences here in India, but elsewhere also. What's your first reaction? And as we just heard, there is one gap that of course, there is one area which we should be mindful of, regulatory challenges. But I'm sure as far as Fraunhofer's experience, business context, I'm sure you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here. And I would like to take this opportunity to introduce what Fraunhofer was. What is Fraunhofer? A brief about Fraunhofer. Fraunhofer is the Europe's largest applied research organization based in Germany. We provide contract research, technology development from proof of principles up to the market readiness throughout the value chain. And we are very active in the solar domain, name it solar PV manufacturing or the application of it or the solar thermal, and again, application throughout the value chain for the material system, simulation modeling, testing, certification. When we speak about, when we try to learn about what is ISA, we have already submitted our membership agreement to the ISA. Fraunhofer has submitted, but we are still yet to get the approval from Germany yet to become a member of it. So we feel that the project, what is the right now we discuss, and I would like to congratulate to the UNDP and the ISA for this great initiative. And for the, I think the member or the beneficiary countries will be definitely happy about it, that they will be having a sort of the irrigation purpose, the pumps, solar pumps they are getting. But along with this, I would like to say that there should be the holistic approach for the food, water, energy nexus, not just for the solar for irrigation, but we can use the, because if you see that the agriculture yield in the African countries is very minimum available. So we can use the same land for the putting a solar field above the agriculture yield. So it is like a dual land resource efficiency or the dual land uses of the field, so that it will be used, the energy produced through the A field can be used for the irrigation purpose, could be additional income for the farmers if they are trying to sell it, and also is used for the irrigation purpose. And there we are working on a certain designs of the PV panel mounting system that it will help for the conservation of the water, which so the rainwater harvesting with the new methods. And so that's, I would like to say that the focus should be the holistic approach, and there should be, along with the international standards, there is the need of country specific and localized standards required, because the regional, the temperature condition or the weather conditions are different. So as per that, so we can try to scale it up. It will help for the same region. Yes, so we are working on the agro PV in India, also some parts in Chile also, but it's on the pilot scale. And we try to identify the crop pattern which can be cultivated below the panels and which can be cultivated in between the space of the panels. So, and what could be the socioeconomic aspects of it and the impact of it, that's you're going to understand it.
Yeah, so agri PV is pretty sort of, agri photovoltaics is a big area developing. And of course, the challenges are also pretty well known. So convincing farmers to move away from cropping patterns, which they're not used to, convincing them to think about it. Well, we haven't been able to manage to move farmers away from paddy and wheat in certain parts of our country. So to actually start thinking about giving additional opportunities. But I think this is an area where there are lots of possibilities and lots of avenues of big financial aggregation models there also, to actually start thinking about land pooling and sort of course, then aggregating demand for the solar panels as well. So I think that's a very interesting conversation that we should continue to have as we go along. But then let me turn to Momita ji. You're from a lab, and I would like to learn a little bit more about how exactly you've been working in this space. But what are the opportunities you see beyond what you've just heard And what would be your advice to this project?
Thank you so much. First of all, I'm from UL, UN Underwriters Laboratory. So UL, I would say that it's not only a lab, but it is actually working for the human safety. As on today, it's not about the product, how it is performing, but of course also the people or the end users, how are they getting affected from the product, and is it safe to use or not? So UL is working towards that goal. In India, UL is working for 25 years, and globally we are like 125 years old. It started when the fire hazard happened, when the Thomas Alva Edison has created a bulb. And from that time, the fire safety has become a major key point for UL to work for the mankind. Here for the Solar Alliance, I would actually congratulate ISA team and the whole team who are working for a betterment of India's agricultural field. And as a neutral body and also as a compliance body, we would have some suggestions that regarding the water pumping system, there are quite a lot of challenges. And one of the major key points I would say at this moment is the growing industry of solar cells. Nowadays, the solar cell is coming with mono PERC, whereas our solar water pumping system is having a efficiency of lower than that from the polycrystalline family. So polycrystalline family, so going ahead, I would say that it will not be in the market. At that point of time, if we can improve our pumping system so that we can go for the higher efficiency cells, we can mono PERC, top on, and having efficiency of 21-23%, that would really help. And because of that, what is happening is that poly cell is having a high demand but less value chain. So there should be a quality control which can actually mandate few quality related approaches, not only for the cell, the raw materials as well, and also the pump. So we have to create a guideline where we can actually regulate the quality of the product into the factory level and also after the installation. So many of the areas where we are installing the pump, they are the rural areas. And one of the topics Mr. P.C. Sharma has also said that awareness and training program. So awareness is very important that when we are installing something that have to be given in a proper trained way, the locals, the farmers, the main end users are the farmers. So we have to give a hand-on hand experience to them, how to use it, what should be the maximum PowerPoint tracking for that, and how they can utilize it properly. Those things are really important. Another a few points I would say as a suggestion is that I mean the test reports of the pumps which are getting out from the laboratories, various laboratories that are getting extended. But when we are extending something, as a suggestion wise, I can say that we should have a regulatory audit or a periodic inspection so that the quality is maintained. Nowadays, only one pump is getting tested and there are thousands of pumps are getting represented. So as the end user, we have to give a safe product, not a performing product, but of course the performing plus a safe product to the farmer. That should be suggestions from you.
No, thank you so much for your points around quality. I think this is a fundamental challenge that you will face not only sort of for large deployment, because well, we just looked at the market size in Africa. In these 10 countries, we're talking about around 300,000 pumps. Of course, the demand size in the country like India is massive as well, and there are assessments. So of course, what the farmer experiences as performance of individual pumps is of course very important as well. And of course, standardization is a big challenge, not only within the country, but also as soon as we start thinking about large-scale deployment, it continues to be a big challenge. And this is something that we've been in discussion with ISA for the solar value chain, not necessarily focusing only on solar pumps, but also the entire solar value chain. So thanks for your inputs. And I think it also goes back to the question which the gentleman from UNSSCOP had raised about sort of regulatory oversight and also learning from regulatory experiences in different countries. And I think this would be an area that we should definitely keep in mind when we're implementing our project, because there will be lots of interesting experiences which will emerge from the deployment of these pumps in every individual country. So now let me turn to our speakers who are available online. I'm assuming they still are. So the representative from Shakti Pumps, if you could come on screen, switch on your camera. Is he there? Yeah. So Ramesh ji, if you can hear us. Okay. So Ramesh ji,
Please unmute, please. Rameshji, please unmute yourself.
please unmute yourself, Mr. Patidar.
Okay.
Okay, now we can hear you and see you as well clearly. So the question to you is, Dr. Mathur already spoke about the big sort of price discovery process, and of course, Shakti Pumps been able to sort of bring down certain prices. So what has been your experience in India, and going beyond India in Africa, what would be your advice to us who are trying to implement this project? And what are the challenges that you faced over the last few years? Over to you, Mr. Pai.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So myself, Ramesh Patidar, I am from Shakti Pumps India Limited. We are basically solar water pumping manufacturing company. We are almost 40-year-old company. We are making all kind of water pumps related to agriculture, industry, and solar. So in terms of our experience in India, we are having a very good experience in India. Like in India, there is a, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can please continue.
Okay. Like there is a very good scheme running by the government, central government, is Prime Minister PM Kusum scheme. It is a very successful scheme in India, and we have installed more than 100,000 solar water pumps to the farmers. It is running very well from last 5 years, successfully running, and there are thousands of farmers are in the queue to take solar pumps from the government. So, and the benefit is that before they were not able to irrigate the land because they don't have the electricity. They did not have the electricity, and they were not able to spend money on the diesel. So they were totally dependent on the rainfeed. Now the country like Chhattisgarh, it's a totally tribal area where the pumps are running successfully and they are irrigating land throughout the year. Even they are doing the extra business like fish farming. So they are earning money from the fish farming also. So it's a really a game changer scheme in India. And we would like to implement the same scheme in the African market, African countries. And we have done several pilot projects. One pilot project we have done in Senegal, we have done in Uganda, we have done in Mali. There are several pilot projects we have done, and we are trying to implement in the large scale. We have recently awarded one project from government of Uganda. It is $35 million project, purely solar water pumping system for the community water supply scheme, because it's a huge problem for the water supply in the rural side. They don't have access to the water. They are using the mud water to drink. So now we are implementing the water supply, because before there is no electricity. They were totally depending on the pond or hand pump, and hand pump require the maintenance. So we saw thousands of hand pumps there, but they need a maintenance. They are not able to use it, the hand pump. Now we are replacing those hand pumps by putting the solar pumps. So this is what we are trying to implement. The success story in India, what we have done in India, and Africa is a sunshine country. I personally seen in Mali, there are very, very small farmers using 1 acre, 2 acre land, and they are using very small diesel pump. And sometimes they don't have money to buy the diesel. So they are totally dependent on the rain. We done some pilot project over there also, and once they use the solar pumps, they are increasing their land, irrigating more and more and throughout the year. So this is what our success story in India as well in Africa. And I hope with the help of the ISA, we will be able to penetrate the African market as a sunshine country, and they need solar. It's required for the solar in Africa. So I hope with the help of ISA, we will implement the solar projects more and more in Africa for their happiness and prosperity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ramesh. One more quick question before we move on to the other panelists.
Yeah.
From your experiences of implementing the pilots in African countries, what would be your 3 lessons, top 3 lessons? What have you learned, or good, well, positive, negative, whatever you want to tell us? What is your biggest sort of 3 learnings that you can share with us?
Yeah, the first lesson, people are afraid to go there, but you try to go to the tribal area also, and we teach them that this is the good for your future. This is your future. So, and the second lesson, we need to identify some financing mechanism, because the initial cost they were not able to afford it. So I think we can work out on the financial aspect also.
We lost you for the second point. So you mentioned something about financial aspect or affordability, right?
Right.
Okay. So how to make it more affordable to farmers in Africa?
I think we should there should be, with the help of it's government to government. Government should provide some subsidy or some kind of microfinance to the farmers. These schemes are not available in the African countries.
All right. No, thank you. Thank you so much. This is very useful. And
Thank
I'm
you.
sure the people who are listening online, some of the African countries, would also be able to use some of these arguments with their own governments. Okay, so let me now turn back to the colleagues here in the room. So let me start with you, man. You've talked about the challenges which on quality, but we know that we need to scale, right? Scale is a big mantra. The Prime Minister was here yesterday. I was in the G20 meeting participating, and everybody is talking about scale, is about talking about accelerating the speed of expansion and, of course, making things affordable. How do we do that? You have
Of course, government should be the one who will be actually, we all are working, and we all will be along with the government to give suggestions and also to scale it in a larger way. One of the things is that maybe we can join hands together with the public and private sector, so that we can take the share from each one, and then collaboratively we can work on the scaling of the project. Collaboratively we can work on the preparing the guidelines. There are many standards or guidelines, secretary guidelines, which we can adopt, and we can work on together to make it a larger scale. Yes. Thank you.
And so public-private partnership, do you have something to add on this?
So I feel that the technology is always enabler for the climate mitigation, and we need to focus on the towards R&D focus and investment into it at the institutional level. We're not just depending upon the what is government doing or the what are the R&D should do, but please should we come forward and try to invest something into R&D and try to invent something new, which is the benefit for the society and which is the benefit for them also to like the it should be high efficiency, high social acceptance, and the cost economic benefits has to be there.
While we are sort of course, we're focusing on the pumping sort of story, but you already talked about agri-photovoltaics as a nexus solution. Where do you think are the biggest challenges, and opportunities, I would say, in the DRE, in the distributed renewable energy space? So you've mentioned sort of agriculture as one area, but I'm sure you have at Fraunhofer, there's lots of interesting technological innovation happening. So what are the other applications of this decentralized renewable energy? Because if we start putting panels, we could use them for a bunch of other things as well. So the ISA has itself several programs, solarizing health facilities, and of course there are many other sort of applications. We are working on solar cold storages, solarizing health facilities in India as well. So can you give a few suggestions?
We are working on the energy efficiency side also, and also try to go for the EV applications, even for the diesel genset are there, but we try to work on the fuel cell powered genset, which is or one of the current invention, what I say. And the companies or the society should be beneficial from the government aspects, and there should be a key orientation towards the industry and the end user how they can utilize the resources made available from the, it is not just like if they provide the pumps for them, how actually they are getting benefits on the ground, how they are able to use it, and if there are the challenges in the maintenance or the challenges in the application. So there is the should be the awareness, and there should be skilling on the root level so that they can try to overcome and they try to speak it about their problems so that institutions like ISA and the UNDP try to support them.
I have one of the suggestions is that when we are using the water pump, the farmers are actually using it on the peak hour time. Like morning, they are using morning till afternoon, they are using. After that, we can actually supply those extra generated power to the grid so that they can get some subsidy or they can get some benefits out of it. So now grid code compliance is also there, which is also under the ministry's hand, regulatory hand. So we can work upon that and how we can help them to get extra benefits out of that.
Yeah, so that's a suggestion. It's an interesting suggestion. And I think we made that suggestion also to the ministry several years ago, that when we are starting to think about the pumps, why not start thinking about installing, sort of using solar panels which are beyond the capacity of the pump's need, so that they can actually be fed back. So in 2 kVp or whatever, you can actually do double, so that they can actually start feeding it back into the grid as an additional source of income. So these would require some kind of regulatory bring us back. So what I would now like is to see, yeah. So I would like to now take questions from the sort of online colleagues. So can I, can you read the question out, or how do I do it? I can't read it from here because I can't.
Yeah, this question is been asked by Honorable NFP Mr. Solanem Barthe, NFP from Mali, towards Mr. Ramesh Patida. He just wanted to know about the Shakti Pump strategy for capacity building initiative in Africa region. Thank you.
Sorry, sir. Come again. Can you please? I was not able to hear you.
Yeah. So Ramesh ji, the question is,
Yeah.
what is your strategy for strengthening capacities in Africa?
Our strategy is to do more and more pilot projects to create the awareness and to generate the demand from the African countries, because it's for their own benefit to have the solar pumps.
Okay.
And the part is written that what is the strategy for wide distribution of its pumps? For distribution, what is the strategy?
Distribution, we are going to open our own subsidiaries or branches, like we recently opened subsidiaries in Uganda to help them with our local setup.
Question is a lot broader than just, and maybe the panelists here can also answer. But one of the fundamental issues, I think, is about capacities at various levels. Of course, the technological capacities which can be addressed, and also the distribution channels which have to be established for the delivery of these pumps, but also the technical capacities which are, well, so of course, and also awareness generation. So
Definitely.
I think we have to think very broadly about capacity. And I think this is the question, the part sort of behind this project as well, that we really want to see what kind of training modules for different kinds of can be prepared. God, the sound system sucks here, but I can say that openly. I think we are about towards the end of the sort of session. But any final remarks from the panelists, and then we'll hand it back to the organizer.
I think, yes, this would be a major thing which, if we are able to do that, and of course, we will all be working together anytime, and that would be really a great project work, and congratulations to ISA and the team. Thank you.
So I would suggest that my thought is like we can cultivate the sun in the form of the energy generation, in the form of the photosynthesis and plus photovoltaic. So that's what I say, the agro PV is a dual land use, and we can use the same soil available for us for the photosynthesis plus photovoltaic and the same region. Thank you.
All right. So you spoke like a true technology wala. Like, let's extract the most from all sources, and then of course be very resource efficient as well. So use the energy from the sun for agriculture, and of course energy generation, and then all kinds of other applications. So on that sort of positive note, I'd like to thank all the panelists who've been who've spoken, and of course the people in the audience as well. We've actually had a question or two also, and our apologies for the setting. I'm sure the people who are online can hear each other much more clearly than we can hear you or each other. But then we are celebrating Energy Week in India. It's a big show here. So those who are not here are missing out on a lot of fun. And we're all sitting here in a small room, and we are actually celebrating a big victory. We are actually launching a project, starting a project, which is going to bring a lot of excitement to many farmers and hopefully lay the seeds for a major scale-up possibility. We're delighted that we're partnering with ISA as UNDP for implementing this project. And of course, a lot of you who are already working with ISA as well as with UNDP will continue to engage with you going forward. So on that note, thank you very much, and look forward to continuing to engage with you in the coming months. Back to you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think, NFP Mali is there. Shweta?
I'd like to invite our ISA National Focal Point, Suleiman Berthe from Mali, who will give us a vote of thanks. Mr. Suleiman, Dr. Suleiman Berthe.
Oui, merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup de m'avoir donné la parole. Monsieur le DG le directeur général de l'ISA, chers participants, c'est avec un réel plaisir pour moi de présider cette cérémonie de clôture. C'est important, cette rencontre consacrée à l'irrigation solaire pour l'agriculture. Je vous remercie de vos participations actives et des échanges fructueux qu'on a pu voir tout de suite. Après vos interventions, nous avons pu constater que les échanges et que la technologie de pompage solaire est arrivée, est mature pour relever les défis que nous rencontrons aujourd'hui dans le secteur de l'agriculture. Comme vous le savez, la production, le problème de nutrition se pose avec acuité de nos jours. De plus en plus, les pluies se font rares ou irrégulières dans beaucoup de nos régions à cause du changement climatique, et ceci ne garantit pas des rendements meilleurs pour nos agricultures. Aussi, la crise russo-ukrainienne, avec la crise russo-ukrainienne, la fourniture du marché international en céréales et d'autres produits alimentaires se trouve menacée. L'augmentation des prix du pétrole rend difficile la compétitivité des systèmes classiques que nous utilisons aujourd'hui, à savoir avec le pétrole, le charbon, etc. Il s'avère donc nécessaire de diffuser à grande échelle des nouveaux systèmes d'irrigation solaire qui sont non seulement non polluants, mais aussi faciles à installer, même en mode individuel. Et ces systèmes favorisent aujourd'hui le développement d'une irrigation contrôlée qui est gage des meilleurs rendements dans l'agriculture. De vos interventions, il ressort que tout l'écosystème est prêt pour le développement du pompage solaire pour l'irrigation dans nos pays, à l'accès à la technologie, l'accès au financement par les mécanismes de coopération entre acteurs. Et nous avons constaté dans vos présentations. La ressource solaire aussi est là dans, dans tous les pays membres de l'ISA. Un exemple, notre banque de développement agricole au Mali se porte aujourd'hui volontaire de nous accompagner dans les projets de démonstration afin de bénéficier de leur expérience dans le domaine de l'agriculture. Nous recommandons une mise en œuvre accélérée des projets de démonstration de pompage solaire dans les pays bénéficiaires qui sont membres de l'ISA, afin de passer à un programme d'irrigation à grande échelle dans les pays de l'Alliance solaire internationale pour gagner l'autosuffisance alimentaire et de créer beaucoup d'emplois et aussi voir la stabilité de nos pays. Nous encourageons les partenaires à nous accompagner pour la mise en œuvre de ce programme de l'ISA très important pour nos pays. Aussi, je remercie tous les participants et je vous souhaite bon retour dans vos foyers. Merci beaucoup. Je remercie Lisa pour l'organisation de cette rencontre. Merci.
I think that's the end of the session today. Thank you all for joining us. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.